that
150
street?
and 200 north?
Yeah,
Yes,
okay, they're gonna put a roundabout in there.
yes.
They were waiting to buy that property, those two gals owned all that property.
Well, Kerry Groniger bought that property.
Who?
Kerry Groniger bought that whole farm
Okay,
last year.
oh, okay,
Know what they're waiting on is they don't have the design done yet.
yeah, yeah,
And yes, they have to acquire property.
yeah.
So I think they're waiting for the design in order to.
Hey, Mary, can you guys hear us?
Figure out how much property they need to go after.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
can
talked
hear
to
you.
Jeremy
Awesome.
Skinner about a week and a half ago about
We're,
that.
Dan, we are on, just so you know.
Okay, I gotta talk.
is
start
John
talking.
coming tonight?
He cannot make it tonight.
Okay,
He had another meeting that, and he could have done earlier today, but he has a 6 o'clock previous meeting that he couldn't do both, so.
okay. Well, this should be a short meeting, right?
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Okay, we'll call this October 13th special meeting to order of the Warsaw Board of Aviation Commissioners. Records show that Steve Smiley's present, Gene's present, John is not present, Dan's present, Nick, and yourself, and
Kelsey.
John and Josh Fitz. Visitors. So, this is for information only, or what are we doing with this information?
Yeah,
That's for information only, yep.
Okay.
The state passed a rule, they want all of the board members, who they're appointed by and what their terms are added to the agenda of all of our meetings.
That's
just
a
for
good
clarity.
idea.
And so we added that in here to follow that recommendation.
Okay. I kinda like that. Okay. All right, the approval of the minutes of the September 9th meeting
Did
has,
you get to read those?
The agenda wasn't part of the packet.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
yeah.
I make a motion to accept.
you, the September 9th,
Yeah, I have those minutes,
Okay.
and I do have one correction.
okay,
On Roman numeral 5, sub 3, the questions that I had weren't about the legality of the contract, but about the terms of the contract.
Okay.
Okay.
Other than that, they look fine to me.
okay, which that's noted in there. His comments are noted.
I put legality, he wanted to say terms.
Terms, we will make that change.
Yeah. But that was accurate for that meeting.
Correct, we just need to, he wasn't worried about was the contract legal? He had some questions about the terms, so we'll just make
Okay.
that change from legality to terms, and we'll,
Okay,
if there are no other corrections, we can approve it with that correction in mind.
that's your correction, okay.
Yes.
Terms, not legality, okay. All right, with that correction, are there any other comments or corrections to the September 9th minutes?
No, not for me.
No. Okay, I didn't see any either, so I will call for approval of the September 9th meetings.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented, except for the correction.
Okay, moved by Gene,
Second?
second by Steve. No further questions, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
None opposed. All right, approval of claims. Okay. This new format throws me, I'm not used to it. Yep.
And again, we're working through this, we've got a new board member, and as you guys look at this, if there's things you would like to see changed or presented differently, we have no problem giving the board exactly the information they want or cutting out what they don't want. It was a pretty quiet month on the claims front. The only larger claims were ones that had already been pre-approved at a previous meeting.
Okay, which column are we looking at for current claims?
These are, each one of these is a different claim, so it shows payroll and health insurance and everything else, and it says what the claim is, who it goes to, and then the amount of the claim. The first few are just mostly personnel-related, perf, all that kind of stuff. And then Eastern Engineering is our print management company, so, you know, that 6426 was the amount of prints that we had last month from bills and everything
Okay.
else. The $8,081.49 for BIT computers. As I mentioned a while ago, Windows 10 is at end of life, and so several of our computers were older than I remembered that they were, and our IT guy came in and said, hey, I need a little bit of money to update those, so we had to go through that and get that up to speed and taken care of. Other than that, there weren't too many out of the normal charges. Were there any questions that you guys had on anything specifically?
So are you guys following which column is the current claims? It's under the second to the last column, apparently.
That's how much-
Expended amount.
Yep, that's how much each claim was.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
And then the final column is the balance left in that line item.
so it looks like total claims for the month are $100,792.49.
I believe that is correct, because we had some Stan Tech for the fuel, and we had, I believe.
Yeah, most of that was fuel.
And then we also had some claims with CHA for the runway and power line project. Taxiway B request, and yeah, there was a few different, so Stan Tech and CHA were the two big ones. A lot of professional services last month that the board approved. And then on that, so any questions?
I think I have it.
And then we
Jim,
have,
Steve,
Pardon?
any questions on the
No.
claims?
and then on top of that, we have a claim for Ascent Aviation. We
It's not
had,
in this, huh?
no, those are the separate ones that are paid out of the fuel fund. We have our FBO software. We have 2 loads of Jet A totaling $41,582.22, and we had 4 loads of Jet A. I would have to do some quick math, but it's close to $80,000 on those 4 loads of Jet A. And then we had 2 jet pails. That's how we sump our fuel. We have to keep one of those up by our building and one out at the fuel farm for sumping the fuel and doing our brightness test, and the quality control and assurances on our fuel. Every now and then the porcelain in those buckets will get damaged, and once you hit a certain number of chips in the porcelain, you have to just replace the bucket, and they're about $130 a piece. So we had a couple of those we needed to do, so.
I don't see that report.
Those are, like I said, those are separate claims that we put out. So.
You wanna look at these also?
Okay.
You and Steve.
I'm not altogether sure what we're being asked to do here. This $100,792.49 has already been spent, hasn't it?
Correct.
So,
Several of the contracts, you know, the big ticket items with Stantec, with CHA, those are all approved a month ahead. We're just showing where that money went because it came out during that month.
so there's really nothing for us to approve.
The rest of the claims, the day-to-day claims that are in, we have to show that because they were spent over the last 30 days, but the other claims have not yet been approved. So we're just approving, basically, this motion is to approve the claims that have not previously been approved by a specific line item in a previous meeting. The old way that we reported it, that didn't have all of the detail, we would omit all of that. This comes directly from the clerk's office, and this is every single dollar that comes out of each one of our appropriations over the previous month.
Things that would not be pre-approved were like the wages, right?
Yeah, wages and the repairs,
Repairs,
maintenance.
minor repairs.
Mhm.
And it appears to me that the pre-approved items are the last group, the CHA group,
CHA and Stantec, yeah,
and the stand check, which is back.
the second to last page there.
But the utilities, supplies were not pre-approved.
What's Blue River Digital, what is that?
That was what you guys approved last month. You said I could spend up to but not exceed $2,000 for
You got very
the solar.
close.
We did. We were, we cut a few things out to get it underneath the 2,000 there, but
Okay.
yeah, we did keep it under.
All right.
Does that make sense now, what was on this list?
Well, the
pre-approved?
explanation makes sense, but as I look at this sheet, it looks like every item has a check number by it, which means these have already been paid.
Correct. And so that, it's just the board, because we only meet once a month, we, a lot of times have to retroactively approve those day-to-day items that come out.
So if,
We had to do that on the school board.
just for the sake of, I don't want to say argument, discussion, suppose we didn't approve something, what happens then?
That's a good
I,
question.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay,
The state,
We would have a stack of, I don't know, I can't remember exact term, pre-approved or whatever, claims that went through regardless of, we just ratified it basically after the fact. And then there was a group of claims that wasn't paid until we did approve it.
Now, these bills were approved by you and then
Correct.
sent to,
yep. And so this, and Steve, that's where I was gonna say, I will have to get you this exact language. But the state and both the city have a statute in place where department heads can spend up to $50,000. And Josh, believe the city's ordinance, there was a rule that came out a couple years ago that cities could adopt a specific ordinance to approve department heads up to 150 without sealed quotes. Anything over $150,000 by law has to be a sealed bid. 50 to 150, you have to solicit 3 quotes, but even if you don't get 3 and you can show evidence you've solicited, you can still move forward. And then department heads have the ability to approve up to $50,000 because several of boards like ours, parks, fire, only meet once a month, and you can't, we wouldn't be able to conduct day-to-day business if we were waiting, you know, to only pay employees once a month or things like that. And so there's certain things that I can approve, the board is ratifying, but anytime there's a contract involved, anytime there is anything over $50,000, I don't have that authority. The board has, I can't sign a contract, the board has to, and that's why we bring, like when CHA does their task orders, most of those are over $50,000, and so the board has to approve, either pre-approve those, hey, this expense is coming, we know that, and we pre-approve it, or once it has come through, you're approving Kelsey and I to write that check and send that claim out then.
You run into this on the council too, don't you?
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
Board of
but it
Works,
was-
yeah.
That was a state statute, and all the city did was just take their exact language and adopt it, and that's what most cities
Municipalities,
around the,
yeah.
municipalities around the state did. But yeah, it gives kind of overarching authority to department heads so that, you know, getting a new fixture in, in one of the hangars isn't gonna completely hold up, impede progress for being made 1 month at a time. So he has the authority to have some, spending limits.
And that certainly makes sense. What I'm trying to figure out is, what is it that you want us to approve now? Is it these 3, 5, 6 things?
Those things have to be specifically named because Kelsey and I are the ones that write those checks. And then we're just ratifying in the purchases what has been spent the previous month.
So basically,
It's a
the
checks and
approval or
balance.
ratification of this sheet.
Except
And-
it's really not, because we can't say no.
I think legally, we probably could pick out items and say no. I don't know what the ramifications of that would be.
And it's a check and balance on the department head and the department. I mean, if I went out and I bought something that was completely off base and that the board was like, we're absolutely not using taxpayer money to install, do not put this in the paper, but to put a margarita machine out at the airport for our guests coming through. There's no way we would ever do that. But if that happened, you could say, no, we're not paying for that at all. And I don't know what I'm not an attorney, I wouldn't know what the legal ramifications are, but that's that check and balance to make sure the departments are spending on appropriate items.
Well, I am an attorney and I don't know either.
Yeah. So I can ask our city attorney if, I don't know if that's ever happened before, honestly.
That's what I was gonna recommend, is have Scott provide an answer that's probably better than any of us can
Yeah.
come up with, so.
We're taking his word that these things are correct.
And that I understand. The part that I get confused about is approving money that's already been
That's already
spent.
been, yeah. I
And
asked,
these things, I don't even know that we need motions because it's got all the board member signature on it. But, I mean, I don't mind the motion.
Oh, did you guys just sign them
Yeah.
already?
Yeah.
Well,
We
then-
Well, they-
then we're voting to.
Yeah.
We're voting to, that that's what we're doing. We needed a motion for those items on those 3 pages.
Because we give them to you guys unsigned, you guys have to make a motion to pass, and then once that passes, then you sign them, and then we send out the checks.
Yeah.
okay, I make a motion that we pay, as sent, Aviation Group, these 2 invoices, for $53,816.44, and over here for, 82, 83, almost 84,000. The total isn't,
I can put the total in there for you.
wasn't in there. So I make a motion for that also, along with Blue River Digital for $1,904. And also for the, for
Let's
the
do that
bills.
separately.
The what?
Let's do that separately.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
let's
I'll second
Just
it.
do that one.
I'll
Okay.
second the pending motion.
Okay. Moved and seconded by Steve on the second, on these three vouchers for Accent Aviation and Blue River Digital.
Back in '80, I used to do the same thing. What the hell is going on? Who's okaying all this stuff?
Any further discussion on those three
He sent all that.
vouchers?
What's
Any
that?
further discussion on these three vouchers?
Yes.
The total amount on that second one is $82,527.52.
Okay, that sounds close.
Okay,
Okay.
so, all in favor of the approval of these three vouchers, signify by aye.
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 None opposed? Okay. Steve hasn't signed yet. I do that too often. Steve, there's one you didn't sign.
The only one that was added up for us.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's fine. Okay, now let's discuss essentially the ratification of these other claims. I'm going to call them like the school board used to call them prior to claims. That's what they used to call them. So we always had to ratify that. So do I hear a motion to ratify the prior to claims amounting to $100,792.49?
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Gene, seconded by Steve. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All right, none opposed? That's taken care of. All right. Now, the engineer's report. Sorry about that.
No worry at all. Let me share my screen with you all. Can you guys see that? Looks like you can.
Yep, we got you, Mary.
Alrighty, so first up is the runway 27 obstruction mitigation, which sends the closeout documentation, and they're still waiting for FAA to close that out. Nick, I don't know if you want to speak about the AP stuff. We are working with them to still do the last little bit of punch list work.
Yeah, we've got, Rob's on two. We've got 2 or 3 punch list items that AEP has made known that they need to finish up. We are withholding the final payment of $388,000. We've received the money from FAA, but this project, because it's utility, doesn't have typical retainage fees in it. And so we're not I don't have a problem sending the payment, but they've not told us in writing when they are planning to complete the punch list items. And we have let them know in the last few meetings that we're not sending that payment until we know when it's going to happen.
What are the punch list items?
There's some repair work that needs to be done out there. There are some warranty list items, bolt torques and things like that on their end that they need to come out and check. They're gonna have a crew on site, and there's some reflective balls, the big orange reflective balls that need to be rehung.
Not put up yet.
They're not put up yet. And so there's just a couple things like that that we knew they were not going to do until this fall. That was okay, but we just have not heard in writing when they're going to be complete and how they're going to plan to do that. So we've been working with they've had a transition on their team. Their project manager has moved to a different role. And so they've got a little bit of shuffling, and so we're giving them a little grace, but we want to know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen before we send that check out. So Rob's been a huge help on that. We should hopefully have more information. Might even be done by the next board meeting, I'm not sure. So we'll keep you up to date. But that's all on the FA's closeout docket now. What, Robert?
Nick, I was just gonna, we didn't get a chance to talk after I talked with, we did. I said next couple weeks. But I will have confirmation of that, hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay.
The goal is to get it done before November, is what Kent Power is telling me.
Great. Thanks, Rob. And then runway 97, I am just doing one final review of the report. We'll have that done this week, and then we'll be sending it out to the FAA for their final review. I don't believe there's any update. I haven't seen anything. Nick, I don't know if you've received anything with FAA being furloughed about the wildlife hazard.
No, I
Visit and,
haven't heard anything, and I doubt we will while the shutdown's going on.
yeah. We are finalizing closeout documents for Echo One, and we should have all that ready for the November board meeting. We did receive an FAA grant for Taxway Bravo, so that's very exciting. We did not have a task order set in place for that yet, so we have presented the task order number 5841-211-7. It's an amendment to the design, and that's for construction-based services. So again, this will be funded partially by FAA. It'd be 95% FAA, 2.5% from NDOT, and 2.5% local. So the total grant, the total project amount for our portion is $277,000, and the local share for that is $6,925.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions on that? That's just for construction-based services, so it would include, shop drawing review and construction inspection services.
Bravo's north-south, right?
Correct. That's our north-south taxiway. So last meeting, you guys approved it, the signature for Dan to accept that grant if it came through. We did receive that grant, so we will be moving ahead with the reconstruction of that taxiway, hopefully first thing next spring. We will have full depth crack repair completed and then a mill and overlay. Mary, is that 4 inches?
3 inches.
3 inches, 3 inches of a mill and overlay after the full depth crack repair. And since we got that grant, the original grant was for the design, and then this is just the construction phase, so.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So move.
Steve, motion, second?
Second.
Gene, second? Any discussion, questions further? All right, all in favor of the motion, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. None opposed.
Thank you. We will also work with Cindy Brown to get a contract ready for next board meeting for them as well. They were the apparent low bidder on that, and they've been gracious to hold their bid while we've waited for this grant to come in. General services, we don't have anything right now. We did send over, Nick, I don't have it on the agenda, but we did send over the GBD report for
right,
your
yeah.
review. So we'll be working through that with you.
Yeah, and we'll have, the DBE is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Goal for the airport. That is up for review, so Nikki Abney from the CHA team's been working on that, and she just finalized that, so we'll get that, I'll get that reviewed, and we'll hopefully have that on our next month meeting. Mary, do we need that approved tonight, or is that next month we need that approved?
Um.
Now that I was gonna say,
It actually may need to be on,
I think it,
this one.
I was just gonna say,
Maybe
Nikki and I-
October 31st.
Nikki and I went over it on Friday. The reason that we were waiting, the goals from the FAA have changed, but they don't go into effect until after our DBE is due. So we have to approve this this month, this DBE goal, and then next month we're going to have to reapprove it again, but we can't have a gap in there. So let me pull up. I forget what that, do you have that percentage?
Yeah, let me pull it real fast.
And this would just be for Dan's signature on our DBE goal.
Yeah, a 3-year goal of 4.28%.
But there has been some and this is just for my recollection as well, some of the challenges right now with what is considered and not considered legal underneath DBE is currently in flux, and that this is underneath the current rules, but those rules are changing.
As we speak, really.
Yeah, right now. And so as soon as we get that new language in, we're gonna have to update all of our goals, and I'll bring a new DBE program in for review at that time. The reason we waited so long is we were hoping some of these court cases would be complete and we would be able to have the appropriate numbers. And as of today, this is where we're sitting. Once those legal cases are complete, then we'll have to go back and amend those goals and reflect what the new rules are, so. And all that is during our federal projects, anytime we're receiving money, currently there's a metric where you have to hit so much percentage of your federal monies have to go to a DBE company. And typically for us, Mary, that's trucking, surveying, geotech is typically who.
Yeah, you sometimes see it with seeding and sodding.
Yep.
And, yeah, a lot of trucking is the big one.
So we do need a motion and approval on that for Dan's signature.
Just for his signature to proceed with the,
With this is our current goal, and then once the new rules come out, we'll do a full presentation and show what all those new numbers are.
okay. I make the motion that Dan sign that legal paper.
The DBE goals.
We don't have any paperwork on that, do we?
That's the that's what we see on the screen, yeah. The 4.28% over the 3-year goal. You don't have that.
Where are
either.
these
Okay.
court proceedings going through? Washington or?
Mary, do you know where,
Locally?
which, I think Florida's got, it's in Florida federal court?
Yeah, I'm not for sure. I don't know, Rob, if you know that off the top of your head. A lot of, we will see if, I know in Indiana, even just with like the runway project that we just saw, if you remember, there was a court case down in Kentucky that a milling company said that they were being reverse discriminated against. So while they were going through that court case, any projects that they want to bid on, they let the FAA know and they removed the DBE percentage for it. So, so we did that for runway 92, or taxiway Bravo, excuse me. And then federally, there's changes within this presidential
The administration.
administrative, thank you, Rob, where they're trying to eliminate some of the DBE goals that are part of the Title 49 CFR Part 26, which is part of the Department of Transportation Financial Assistance Program.
Yeah. As of right now, there's no federally certified DVEs. DVE goals are to be set to 0, and all federal DVEs have to be recertified. We don't know if any of the parameters are gonna change. There's quite a few DVEs out there that are financially stable, and we don't know if there's gonna be some disadvantaged financial DVE constraints or what that marketplace is gonna look like, once they make some final determination. But it's great to have this DVE goal in place, because when the new administration comes in, they're gonna change it again. So, there's a lot of airports that are moving forward with their DVE program. It's not gonna go away completely, and it's a good practice to have in-house. And I don't remember, Nick, this is like the first official one, correct?
For the airport?
Yeah.
No, we've updated it. This is the third or fourth that we've had in-house.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only every 3 years that you update it, Rob, so I think the last one was probably when I was still heavily involved, so, yeah.
Yeah. So, either way, it's good practice to still have one in place regardless of what the administrative changes are happening at federal level.
So there's a lot of ambiguity right now, I realize, and part of that is just the unknown of what's going to be with the DBE program, if there is going to be a DBE program. But right now, the way that the law is stated, we're trying to follow that, and this 4.28% does follow that.
The current recommendation.
Yeah, the current guidance on that.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the current DBE guidelines of 4.28%. Gene made that motion.
Second.
Steve second. Any further questions?
No?
All
No.
in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Okay.
I don't believe there's any AOT updates. Nick, I think, last I heard there's been some internal meetings with the city.
Yep, we're currently working through the actual writing of the ordinance and selecting a firm to help us through that. Obviously, it's gonna be a pretty technical ordinance that will be written, and so we have solicited a few outside firms, we being the city, not just me, but been working closely with the mayor's office and the city planning office so that we make sure that ordinance is written correctly
On the overlay.
on the overlay district. CHA has been great. They've got us really close. Now we just have to actually write the ordinance, and then here in the next few months, we'll start that whole process. So the airport board will kick that off. We will go to the Development Commission with city and county. We'll be going to city and county councils. There's going to be a lot of meetings that I'm going to help get this across the finish line, but we're in a really good place right now and moving forward with this project. So hopefully have some more updates next month or in December.
Okay.
And now we're going back to 7 rehab. So we have continued to move forward with that construction. So grooving occurred last week. And this week, right now it's tentatively Wednesday, the final paint markings will be set. Still waiting to hear back from the paint contractor on that work. So we do have, any questions on construction? Okay, sorry, I thought I heard something. Alrighty, we do have two invoices, one for CHA, one for Fitman Brown. So the first one is CHA invoice 584-1211-09 in the amount of $17,028.56. And again, this entire project is local, so that amount will only be a local share. And then the next is for Fitman Brown's pay application number 1, and that is an amount of $658,424.81.
Okay, we have.
Is that the amount that the federal government is paying, or that's?
No, this project is funded locally. This is the one that we
Yeah.
partnered with the county on, and the
Okay.
county is help,
Okay.
you know, we're paying for half and the county,
Right.
Edit Fund is paying for half. so-
And we've got the funds from the county
Yep.
already, okay.
Yep,
Yeah, right now, we will see where we stand once the final paint markings are in place, but we should be under the amount for this, so there will be some dollar amount coming back to the state report for this.
Okay.
So you need a motion on the first one?
Yes.
we'll need a motion on both, yep, so let's do the
Oh,
first one first.
First one is the invoice 584-1211-09 for $17,028.56. Do we want the
No,
those
let's,
are
we,
separate,
separate,
right?
yep.
Separate.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions at this point?
No?
All right, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
None opposed? All right, next motion.
The next motion is for,
Pay app number 1 to Fendon Brown.
it's
So it's for $658,424.81.
81 cents, okay.
Yep.
I make that motion to pay Ben and Brown.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No?
All right, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, none opposed. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you, everyone.
Where do you
want my
my signature?
Next up, we have Taxway Alpha Basis of Design. So we did receive a grant application from the FAA in September for this. And then if you remember, we kind of had to do this project a little differently. We actually already had your signature and approval for our task order on this. And part of that was because we had some expiring FAA funds that needed a signed task order, or we were going to lose the funds. So that task order has already been approved back in June by you all. So once we have the grant application in September, we just started coordinating with our subs to get geotech done this fall so that we can start this project. So this is really just looking at Taxiway Alpha and trying to do some preliminary engineering to help us justify whether or not a reconstruction or a rehabilitation project will be required for this project. So we will be starting that work here this fall. But I have no board action at this time since we already did all of that in June. And then, Nick, I know it's not on the agenda. I know that we met briefly last week about the CIP. I didn't know if you wanted to update them at all on that.
Yeah, so Steve, every year, the airport submits and it has an approved capital improvement program or plan with the state and the FAA. And that's basically, these are the capital projects that we are looking for state and federal assistance on. And we go out 5 years. Internally, we have a much larger document than that, but we share 5 years with NDOT and the FAA. And that's basically the roadmap of if all the finances work out, these are the projects in the order that we want to see them completed at the Warsaw Airport. That helps the FAA and NDOT plan as they are working through their grant program and they know how much money they get every year. They look at the entire state and then, you know, traditionally, I think the number is going up, but the state of Indiana for GA airports has had between 19 and $20 million in grant funding between the FAA and the state. And so they look at all the different airport projects and then they try to fit in, it's a big jigsaw puzzle. How do we fit all of that in? And our CIP is a big piece of that. I went down last Wednesday with our state conference coming up this week. Typically, I try to hold a CIP meeting because the FAA and NDOT are both at that conference. And so I try to get everybody together and sit down for a half an hour to an hour to make sure we're in alignment with what their vision for the airport is as well. Unfortunately, with the shutdown, it doesn't sound like the FAA will be at the meeting. NDOT will be there. And so I'll have some, you know, informal conversations with them. But the FAA will not be there, so we won't be able to have an official CIP meeting. So I don't know if we'll have a CIP to present at the November meeting, but that is our goal. We've got a good blueprint, and it's nothing new. You know, I can send you what our current CIP is and what our draft is, and it's the same. We've completed these top projects. We're moving everything up and just adding, you know, what do we think is going to be happening in 2030. So don't want to get into too much detail because, again, I don't want to say something and people get all excited and then NDOT or the FAA shoot it down and say, we're not even going to come close to those types of numbers. Let's, you know, look at something else. And so, and I have to say, we were pleasantly surprised. There was some additional money at the FAA that towards Taxiway Bravo, we were going to be using one bucket of money, and the FAA said, hey, we actually have some extra money. The money that we had originally used was guaranteed to us. We get that amount every year. And they said, let's save that for next year because that's an extra, I forget, Mary, was it a $200-some-thousand, give or take?
Yeah, I believe so.
And the FAA said, we found some extra money. We're going to give it to you guys. Let's save that for another project next year, which I've been here 13 years, and that's the first time that's ever happened where they said, you save your money, we'll help you out here. And so that's why I don't want to say anything right now, because if they come back and have found some extra money on some other projects, we'll happily say yes and figure out another way we can spend our money here. So we'll hopefully have a good report in the next month or two.
Okay.
And if you don't have any more questions, I know we're going a little long, so I'll try and keep moving here, but don't want to hold short. If you guys have questions, definitely want to make sure they're answered.
No, I don't have it.
Okay. Does Mary have anything else, or?
Nope, that's it for Mary, I think.
That is the end of my report, unless you guys have any questions.
No.
Thank you.
No questions.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And then as you guys see with the manager's report, we're still up in fuel sales. Jet fuel's up about 10,000 gallons year over year where we were last year. Avgas is about flat. We're down maybe 150, 200 gallons, but we're pretty level. So I think we're going to end up just a little bit from where we were last year, but we're not going to be breaking any records. Unless you guys have specific questions on the fuel report or the manager's report, I did have two other things that we needed to bring up and get some board input on. So unless you have any questions, the one thing I had emailed the board a couple weeks ago and let you know we'd be talking about it, the Stantec bail down testing, that is the scope of services is for further site investigation and bail down testing and analysis, as well as the ELTF claims for the fuel release. We are coming to the end of that. It's a weird position to be in because the reason we're doing the FSI, which is a further site investigation, we had a set length of testing set up with the state, and in our first testing, when we pulled the groundwater, there was a little bit of fuel, but not very much, far less than what we had expected to see in the testing. And all of our subsequent pulls from the wells have shown zero product. They've been completely negative. And that's good. That means there's no, we've got several wells set up, and that means we were able to actually, from what we're seeing, it looks like we actually were able to excavate all of the affected dirt, capture everything, and prevent it from leaving our site.
Going further, yeah.
IDEM agrees with that, which is good. And so we need, the FSI is going to come in and do a few more tests just to confirm there's no more fuel detected anywhere. And if that's the case, the ELTF, that's the claims coordination coming in and capturing all of the different, we're basically compiling a master list of all of the expenses from time, salaries, equipment rental, removal of the affected dirt, bringing in backfill, seeding. We're compiling that master list and submitting everything to the state, and then working with them through that claim process, through the ELTF, to see what we will get back in what we have spent so far. So we are starting that process, and we just need to have this amendment. The total amendment for this contract is $16,362. We just need board motion and approval to continue on with that with Stan Tech, who's been helping us through this project so far.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Approved,
Okay.
none opposed.
And then actually two other things. One thing I want to bring up, we talked about it at the beginning of the year. We're getting close to the end of the year. CHA, we signed a 1-year extension to their contract as our consultant to cover this year. I think I'm very happy with the work that we've received over the last 5 years. If the board is also happy, we can go ahead and talk to them about maybe entering another contract. It is up to the board. Typically, that's 5 years for that. And personally, my recommendation would be that we do that. That would put them on as our consultant for the next 5 years, starting it, because we're covered through the end of 25, but we need to get that that going. No motion is needed tonight, but if the board agrees, I can work with Rob and his team to get the document and the extension for that contract with CHA to present at our November meeting. So that's something I think that we need to look at. And if the board does not agree with that, we need to go out to bid, and we need to do that shortly so we can get our RFQs going. But I think that would be a not wise decision at this time. We've got too many irons in the fire, too many projects moving forward with positive momentum, and I would hate to try and break some of that up right now with how quickly things are moving in the right direction right now.
I'm very satisfied with
I
the
agree.
results we're getting here,
Okay.
so.
I agree with the recommendation.
If you guys can work on that and have something for us at the next meeting, that'd be great, Mary and Rob.
I'll add it to our list.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And then the last thing, Steve, I know you've asked me a couple times, we were waiting until October, just getting through the year. We have done a complete analysis of all of our tenants. There are a few that have not met our standard for aeronautical use. And as you guys have proofread the original draft of the letter that I had put together, we've compiled the list of those tenants and gone through the leases, added in the specific lines where we feel they are not currently holding up to their end of the lease agreement. With the board's permission, I will send these to the city attorney for one final proofread to make sure everything is good, and then we will mail these out end of this week, beginning of tomorrow, or beginning of next week. So, to keep the, you know, just because they're on this list doesn't mean they aren't following the rules. They may not have been respondent to questions or calls, from the airport, seeing, you know, how they're using their hangar. So to protect them until we know for sure, I would like to keep those, you know, obviously you guys can see the list of people who we will be emailing, but I would like to keep that out of the public for right now until we know for sure. And then, as we move through this process, I'll keep the board updated as we have more information.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Okay?
All right.
So this letter is coming from the board, so I would like board motion to approve the sending of those letters to those tenants.
Are they each individual or are they
Mhm.
all the same?
Each one is individual, so that's the letter that will be going, each paperclip is a letter to a tenant and who the tenant is, and, most of the leases, were all of the leases the same? It was all section 12, we weren't following, it's a broad and all-encompassing phrase in our lease that says you have to follow all FAA, state, local, and federal rules and laws. If they're not using it for an aeronautical purpose, they're not following that rule, and so they either need to come up with a plan to make their hangar available for rent, so we can get an aircraft in there, or if that's not possible, then the only other solution that I have been able to find is the airport board would have to establish and develop a non-aeronautical land rent, and they would have to pay more, and that would be whatever the prevailing local wage for rental, storage rental is. And they would have to pay that to the airport board, and then they would also lose their tax exempt status, because hangars that are used for aeronautical use are currently tax exempt in the state of Indiana, and if they're not using it for aeronautical use, then they will be reported to the county, and they will have to pay or they will have to pay property tax on that hangar.
Right.
And that tax would come from the assessor's office in the county. I don't know, that each building I'm sure would be different, but we'd have to work through that process. But we're hoping we can work with these individuals and either get airplanes in the hangars, or maybe we're wrong and there's an airplane in there and they can show us that and we can move forward. But we need to move forward in that project. So this is the next step, and we'd like to get that going.
Do we need a motion on that?
I would like one, since the letter's coming from the board, on
Yeah,
behalf of the
I
board.
make that motion.
I will second the motion, but I think there might be a mistake in one of these. Which I can,
We can talk about it afterwards, if that's okay. And this is pending the city attorney's final signature, and thumbs up, this is okay as well.
Right.
okay.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye, I'm sorry.
okay. Yeah, I have a question on a couple also.
All right.
Anything else?
What's the status on the self-serve?
As soon as I know how much the runway we're under, we'll know how much money we've got
These
to
addresses
add
as
to the
well.
bucket to get the self-serve done.
Did
So
you ever get the other quote?
we have a few quotes, they're all really high, and this week at Aviation Indiana, I've already talked to a few different fuel suppliers, and they're all gonna be at the conference, and I'm hoping to be able to sit down and have some meaningful conversations with those reps to see what we can potentially do at Warsaw.
Good.
So we're still moving, just
Very
unfortunately
slowly.
slower than I like to typically move, so.
You're talking about the fuel farm?
Self-serve, yeah.
Self-serve.
Okay.
Yep. So because we saved money on the runway, we will have some extra money on that we will put towards the fuel farm.
Towards that
Yep.
project?
And so-
Okay.
Knock on wood, we should still be able to get it across the finish line. We're waiting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think our next meeting is November 11th. 11/11. Yep, at 5:15.
I see